Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Broncos. I'm your host, Kenny K, filling in for Kurt Valenti again tonight. Uh, it's the school season, so another early day for Mr. Valenti, but love doing these shows with you Bronco fans, and wanted to definitely get a show in tonight, being first Wednesday post draft. And shout out to my friends Keith Brugman, Trevor Saltzman, and Jody Moncrief over at the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. One of my three fellow horsemen, Denver Bronco Roundup. We teamed up with them here at K&K and did the Pickers and Draft Show, 3 full days of coverage. Loved every moment of it, spending it with true NFL fans, Bronco fans, and NFL fans from around the globe. So was a great time. Thank you everybody who was part of it and made it very successful. Calling it now. It's in Pittsburgh next year. I want to see as many K&K Sports Show fans, Denver Bronco Roundup fans, hosts, fans. We got a big draft party out there in Pittsburgh and what a wonderful way to finally meet everybody. So let's see how many of us can get there next year, but it's in Pittsburgh. So save the date. Thinking go for the whole draft, but go on a day 3. Our good friend Clayton follows our shows. He went and he said he met thousands of people. So what an experience that would be for all of us, and a great way to get everybody, together. Graham, it's not Kurt, but you are first, but it's Kenny. So thanks for being the first comment. Ernie saying go Broncos country only. Bo Nix for 6. We own the Broncos draft. Grade A for our teams. The rest of the teams don't matter. Ernie, you and Kurt, definitely, I have to get both of you at the draft next year in Pittsburgh, because I swear you guys, you're the California version of Kurt. And Kurt, East Coast, West Coast. We have Ernie Mays and Kurt Valenti. You two definitely have the same brain. You must be family that from another. So awesome stuff, Ernie. Love when you chime in here and part of the show. Pearl saying hello. Hi, Miss Pearl. How you doing? Hope all's well with you. There's Kurt. Go Knicks and only the Knicks. He's got off tonight. He's got school tomorrow. So Broncos show must go on. And, we're going to have some fun tonight. Roy Osborne saying hello. What's up, Roy? Good to see you. Roy got to meet Oil Cam Boyd for those baseball fans out there. I know Oil Cam Boyd as being a Yankee fan. He was on our rival Red Sox. So that was kind of be a fun experience there, Roy, and love to hear about it in the near future. Uh, he's given the draft grade as of now a B to a B minus. Kurt, Harvey, and Janty, best backs in draft. This, I hope, Kurt, I hope, because a lot of people were down on Hampton. You and I weren't as much on Hampton. You and I were both okay with Amari on Hampton, but man, I hope I am wrong about Amari on Hampton, and I know you hope you're wrong about him too, and he becomes a complete bust. Janty's going to be Janty, but Janty's on the Raiders, so there's a chance that the Raiders may mess that up. And we joked around on K and K. We had a debate. RJ Harvey might be the best, could become the best back in this draft and best fit when you look back at the running backs that were taken in this draft in the AFC West. So uh, I'll give you that, Kurt. I'm going to give you that. He's got a chance for sure. Ernie's a big Nugget fan. Go Nuggets only. Uh, and Kurt saying about you, Ernie. That's why I like Ernie. That's why I like Ernie. Only your team matters. Exactly, exactly. So why don't we do this? So I'm not going to come on here tonight. We did it on Denver Bronco Roundup. All these other podcasts are doing it. I don't want to upset Mr. Valenti or Ernie or anybody else out there and give poor draft grades because that's not what this show is about. I don't want to do that. What I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do, and it's open agenda for anybody out there. So Kurt, Ernie, Pearl, Graham, anybody else who comes in, they come in a little later. Open agenda, questions, comments. I will read them. I'll improvise and give you my best opinion, knowledge that I know. That's what our off-season shows are all about, and we love to do them with you all. So I just wrote a couple topics down, can go with it, or if you want to change it up and ask something else, please, by all means, go ahead. So the first one I had written down are Broncos now that may be in trouble on making this team now that the draft picks were in. That was Jahdae Barron in the first round, RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant, Jones, Johnson, Q Johnson, the punter, and the tight end who's the basketball player. First player I got on here in chat, you can agree, disagree, could throw another name out there. RJ Harvey is going to be the lead back on this team. I think Jaleel McLaughlin, and I said it a few months ago, I think he could be in trouble on making this team. And I tell you why, because I'm not counting it out that the Broncos go get a free agent running back to mentor RJ Harvey. Odd man out, Jaleel McLaughlin. Estime becomes the power back or backup running back, and you bring in a guy on the free agent to mentor him. And the guy I got in mind right now is J.K. Dobbins or Nick Chubb. So you bring one of them two in, I think Jaleel's days are numbered. So that's the first one. We got Roy saying, with Pete Carroll at the helm, Janty will probably be good. Time will tell. And Ernie likes all 7 picks. Hit out of the park. And Kurt heard Mike Kliss say this. Broncos' goal was best player available round 1. I 100% agree with that. And Kurt, in chat, I'll ask you this. Do you think Emeka Egbuka was in play if the Broncos... Because I'm thinking Pat Bryant, they took him in the 3rd round, but doesn't Pat Bryant remind you of like an Emeka Egbuka type of receiver? Catches a lot of balls, doesn't drop many. Do you think Emeka Egbuka was in play at 20, or was Jahdae Barron higher ranked over Egbuka? Kurt in chat. He's saying best player available, either Ferguson, Taylor, or Arroyo round 2, and then trade up in 3rd for Harvey. Thoughts? Broncos' goal was best player available round 1, Barron, either Ferguson, Taylor, or Arroyo, round 2 and then trade up. Well, yeah, the tight end Ferguson was a surprise that he went so early. Uh, I guess Keith. I know Keith Brugman liked Ferguson. I wasn't as high on Ferguson, Kurt, but I loved me some Mason Taylor. He climbed up my boards, and of course Arroyo I liked too. Uh, I could have definitely seen them going there, and then trade up for Harvey, like you said. But you know what? Talking to you and all joking aside, we have our fun. We have our heated debates. R.J. Harvey seems like he was the running back the Broncos did not want to miss on. And what I mean by that is, right, Trevion Henderson came in for a 30 visit. He was the last top 30 visit, and boom, they passed up on him at 20, but they can trade up for him. But the Patriots took him. So R.J. Harvey they were probably totally okay with the trade up a little bit. And you were telling me that they took him away from the Jaguars. So R.J. Harvey, the ceiling's high. The floor is not as low for R.J. Harvey. But, I want to see some blocking from him. I know the size is a little concerning, but he's got to pick up those safety blitzes. That's important for me. But there's no doubt in my mind he can break one for 50, 60 yards. But the blocking he's good. But you can work on that. Get him to be a good blocker. He can be a 3-down back for sure. Good friend Peter Johnson out there in Australia. Thanks, Peter, for hanging out with us. I think right off the get-go, McMillan is gone. Barron is going to be our new nickel, and I think the team is big on Chris Abrams-Drain as the 4th corner. Yeah, you know what? I wrote down 5 players, Peter, and I might as well get to Jaquan McMillan now. I think he's him or Damari Mathis, right? Do you think either one of those two, or is it definitely McMillan? Chat. What would be your opinion on a corner that may be gone? I think it could be them two fighting for the final roster spot in come training camp. So we're gonna see for sure. But yeah, I agree with you. McMillan could be gone. Kurt saying yes, Kenny. I like that. I still want a free agent running back. Chubb or Dobbins. I like it in a limited role. And Chubb makes all the sense, Kurt and audience chat, in my opinion. Bring him in on an incentive-friendly deal. The guy's been in the league a few years. If he passes a physical, you can give him incentives, and he can be a veteran leader in the running back room. You got Harvey, you got Estime, who's still a rookie, in my opinion. Blake Watson's a rookie, and Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't necessarily see him as being a leader in a locker room. You get Dobbins. Yeah, he can be a leader too because he's dealt with it as well. A couple injuries, incentive deal. Bring one of these two guys in, and teach the younger guys a couple things, and bring Chubb in on those hard to get yards in the red zone goal line, home run. So if Chubb still got it, I'm bringing him in. Ernie's saying Estime and Harvey off the hook, and Barron is who Peyton wanted. Barron, I'm calling this defense right now an upgrade from PS2. We got a PS4 now. That secondary is going to be called the PlayStation 4 defense. Let's go. Trademark it now. I'm going to see somebody a couple months from now say PS4 defense. I want everybody to say Kenny K said it on the K&K Sports Show first. Call him out on it. Because it's the PS4 defense now with Jahdae Barron. Best player available. Love that pick for the Broncos. That was a good one. Peter saying, let's go all out and trade for a guy like Kenneth Walker. I like that. I like that a lot. And I know Kurt likes that. And I know this is his show. So I definitely want to, let you know when Kurt agrees with you on something. All about K9. And our co-host on K&K Sports Show, Carson Shear, Michigan State alumni, went to school when Kenneth Walker was playing. Absolutely loves his running game. He's a beast. I think Sean Payton Why not? Why not go trade for him and see what you can get for him? I'm just saying, maybe you can get a player for player. You give up like a fifth round pick, and maybe like a John Franklin Myers gets sent over to Seattle. Just saying. A couple names that may be out the door because of a numbers game. Maybe John Franklin Myers. You could sweeten the pot up a little bit and get K9, bring him over. Uh, so yeah, so uh, well said there, Peter. I like that. I like that a lot. I like Kenneth Walker. Uh, Now that you got R.J. Harvey, it would make more sense for like a Kenneth Walker. The other guy I thought it made sense before the draft was Brees Hall, but it doesn't make sense getting a Brees Hall with R.J. Harvey there. But Kenneth Walker makes a lot of sense. Uh, Another guy I think that could be in danger. We just talked about the depth on the line. Is I'm going to butcher his name. Is Uzawarki, the defensive. He was hurt. Defensive tackle, I think it was on defensive end. I'm sorry, defensive end. Ioma Uzawarki. With the addition of Jones and even Q Robinson, it's a big numbers game now. So unless somebody gets hurt in training camp or he is elite in training camp and preseason, and you can maybe move, like Peter was just saying, and I don't want to do this, but you can go get a Kenneth Walker, but it's going to cost you Ellis. You got depth now. You got trade pieces if you want to bring in a big name. So Uzawarki's in some trouble. I do agree there. I said Damari Mathis and Jaquan McMillan are in trouble. Jaleel McLaughlin could be in trouble. And of course, I just had to throw this in as a little joke. Matt Hack is definitely in trouble. Uh, I said months ago, those who don't know, I'm a Giants fan. Matt Hack was brought in week 10 when our punter went down, and the Giants were completely out of it. He was looking for a job. He came over, and he did okay. I mean, averaged like 42, maybe 43 yards a punt, but the hang time wasn't there. And, it just feel like the Broncos, when they signed him, it was just like, oh, just so we got somebody on the roster. They went out and grabbed Jeremy Crawshaw, and this kid's going to be a weapon. Peter knows he was talking about the Denver Bronco Roundup the other day, yesterday. Australian kicker, uh, been kicking since he was 4 years old. Go on the FloridaGators.com website and type in Jeremy Crawshaw. Go watch what he did when he pins inside the 20, hang time, distance, accuracy. In Mile High, in that atmosphere, it's going to be an added weapon for the defense. Matt Hack, nice to know you, but you know, I'm sure you'll land a job somewhere else, but it's not going to be in Denver. Uh, Ernie's saying no more Hack. So yeah. So once again, everybody, if you want to ask some questions, feel free. Draft was just passed on. You got anybody else you want to throw out here that's in trouble? Maybe tight end could be in trouble. The rookie loner. We all joke around, but 6'7" basketball player, right? Jimmy Graham was a tall tight end. Now, of course, I'm not going to say this kid's going to turn out to be Jimmy Graham, but why not put him in certain situations inside the 10 corner route? I'll take my chances on loner 6'7" catching a ball that Bo Nix throws up high in the air over a 5'10" corner. So he could be a weapon to watch out for. And if that's the case, which tight end is out? Is it Troutman? Is it Krull? Is it one of the fullbacks? I'm going to go with Peter. Lucas Krull might be in trouble. And I was really had hopes for Lucas Krull last year. I thought when he was with Russell Wilson, they had a little chemistry there. He was getting open. Nice. Things were looking good for Lucas Krull. But last year it wasn't there. He had all the chances in the world to step up and be the tight end for the Broncos' future, and he didn't. He didn't come through. And we all know Greg Dulcich got released, and everything else that happened there. Brought in Evan Ingram now. And he's saying Lucas Kroll might be in trouble. The rookie probably has more upside than Kroll. Bingo, absolutely. You know, like I said, you bring him in certain situations, certain play calls. A basketball player, you play basketball, you post up and you ask for the ball. All he's got to do is run that corner out in the end zone, and he's going to have a height advantage. With the accuracy of Bo Nix, sign me up every day of the week. And Adam Troutman's a favorite of Peyton. So I know Krull is too, but Adam Troutman's been with him longer. Krull could be in trouble for sure. Miss Pearl's saying she read about the basketball player. He apparently has, excuse me one second, apparently has a photographic memory. He might end up good. I'll tell you what the Broncos did, in my opinion, your scouts and coaches are either going to get major raises, a basketball player in the 7th round, a punter in the 6th, a special teams player in the 4th in Q Robinson, trade up for a defensive end, that 3rd round wide receiver that was, called a reach. R.J. Harvey called a reach. With the minus of Barron in the 1st round, these scouts are either going to get major raises or they're going to be seeing their pink slip. And I think got a good chance of some of these players turning out and getting scouts getting some raises. So I applaud them for going out there and making these picks. And I do want to come on because it's Kurt's show. Kurt called me out, and I changed my mind really quick. The Pick Is In Draft show, at the very end, Trevor and I graded the Broncos draft, and I mistakenly graded them a D. I upgraded that to a C because there's a lot of reaches, and I'm not going to grade a draft an A or a B when I had none of the players mocked to them and players drafted higher. This is a C grade with a ceiling that could be an A, and it's actually a floor that could be an F, in my opinion. So let's hope it's an A or a B as opposed to a D or an F. I'm going to go right down the middle right now. C grade for the Broncos. And thank you, Kurt, for calling me out, because that was definitely a poor grade on my opinion. In my opinion, giving them a D was totally uncalled for and unacceptable. So I did quickly jump that up to a C. And when Kurt goes back and watches this, I hope he applauds that. Crow will be gone from Ernie. And then Peter's coming in saying, I wish I knew Peyton's plans with Mims. All people seem to talk about is the development of Vele and Franklin. They also talk about Ingram being the joker. I think Peyton has only just scratched the surface with Mims, and I'd hate to see the team give up on Mims. I think Mims is going to be the number 2 wide receiver. I think so, Peter, and you're hearing it here, and I'm with you. I think we seen Mims coming out party last year, and I think the development of Vele and Franklin is going to be your number 3, number 4, number 5 wide receivers with Pat Bryant. Mims is going to be the clear number 2 wide receiver, and they're going to see if they got enough with Mims and Bryant and Vele and Franklin to see if they need Cortland Sutton for the future. So I would love Cortland Sutton to stay a couple more years, but we're going to see. But I think Mims is going to be your number 2 wide receiver Bronco in the country. And let me know if you like that, because I think I think Peyton knows he's more than just a Deebo Samuel type that can come in on gadget plays. We've seen it. And I wonder if they can use, and I hate, so if he becomes the number 2 wide receiver, I hate to see him go back there and on special teams, because you're risking injury. So I'm wondering if the Broncos have somebody else that they can develop into a kick punt returner and jump Mims into the clear number two wide receiver, Peter and everybody. That would be my question. Uh, let's hope, because I would love Mims to jump up to number two. Ernie's saying Franklin will be gone. He's just the opposite of Pat Bryant, Ernie. Pat Bryant, one drop all last year. I think Franklin had, you know, one drop in you know in 5 seconds. So uh, he better improve this year, or he could be getting his walking papers. And let's hope it doesn't happen. But I don't like Franklin very much, to be honest with you. And when I said somebody in for Mims, don't count out. And this is the next topic I'll bring up. Don't count out players to target for the Broncos now that the draft is over, meaning free agents that could still end up on the Broncos. Uh, Thank you, Graham's giving us an update for Montreal winning 4-1. Everybody's friend Michael Ronquillo saying hi, Kenny. It's me just alone tonight, Michael. Kurt, he tuned in a little bit, but they have very early days working in the schools here on the East Coast, and they're up at 5 a.m. So uh, I'm filling in again tonight. I don't mind. I love hanging out with you all. I cover the Broncos on Denver Bronco Roundup, and I love hanging out with all of you. Uh, Peter's not high on Franklin neither. Just to catch Michael up on everything, so he just tuned in. We're talking about players that we're talking about Mims. We talked about Mims maybe jumping up to the number two wide receiver, and we're talking about players that may be in trouble making this roster with the newer draft additions. So we're just talking about Franklin maybe as a surprise one there. Uh, Jody saying Estime will be the key to this team, my fellow horseman. What's up, Jody? Uh, Estime, let's talk about him. Right now, yes. Right now, yes. And I got to give Jody props. So right now, he's been saying Estime is going to have a significant role on this team for couple months now. He's been saying that leading up to the draft. Estime's the guy. He could be the guy. Right now, yes. I think Estime could be that bruiser. Let's see what happens. I still think a free agent like a Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins incentive-friendly deal could be in play too. But Kenneth Walker trade, as Peter alluded to earlier. But the longer we go on, a couple weeks from now, if nothing's changed, Estime might be the guy, like Jody's been saying all along. My good friend Patrick Wiltsey, our good friend Lion Coffee, always tunes in. He's saying aloha out there in Hawaii. Aloha, my East Coast brother. Aloha, Patrick. I always put this up for you. 160 years in the business, Lion Coffee from the Hawaiian Islands since 1864, everybody. Patrick takes care of us here at the K&K Sports Show. Takes care of everybody. And I get to share some of the coffee with my co-workers at the hospital, and everybody's favorite for all the nurses. They love the vanilla macadamia like everybody else. Toasted coconuts up there too, Patrick. So thank you so much. Always taking care of us at Lion Coffee. Amazing. Best stuff on earth. Thank you. Nice saying here from Ernie. Estime and Harvey will be Batman and Robin. I like that because you got the bigger guy in Estime, Batman, and the smaller guy, Robin, the rookie. So the younger guy. I like that. Even though Estime is only a couple years older than Harvey, not much. Roy's saying, Mims, I think he can do good. His route running is desirable. Again, Mims could be really good. I just would hate to see Mims. And, it's funny, I always seem to have a Giants reference, but the Giants had a Dory Jackson back returning punts a couple years ago. And he was a good punt returner. He was also our starting cornerback. And what happened? He got hurt. And that was the year the year we went into the playoffs where we beat the Vikings. But then we had to face the Eagles and they destroyed us. But we lost to Dory Jackson because he was returning punts. If Mims is going to be your number 2 wide receiver, find me another punt returner, kick returner, because I do not want to lose him to an unnecessary injury. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we can develop another kick returner behind Mims. Uh, and then, oh, that's about that. One play I thought was a football tackler on ice skates, the way to tackle. Oh, that's hockey. Sorry, you guys are having a little hockey discussion there. Feel free to talk about anything in the chat. Sorry, don't feel like you can't put that up. I just put that up by accident. But some players to target. So we mentioned the running backs, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins. Incentive. If you want to bring in a veteran, I have no problem with one of those 2 guys coming in for incentives. But I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball now. And yesterday on Denver Bronco Roundup, we talked about Dre Greenlaw at the beginning of the show. Are we concerned about his injury at all? And I was the one that threw the flag out there. Yes, I am a little concerned. It is minor, but he's already has an injury after coming off an ACL injury last year where he lost all last year. Has me a little concerned. There's a linebacker out there that I think you can bring in as depth, maybe can win the number 3 spot, and that's Eric Kendricks, formerly of the Cowboys. A little older in age, veteran, comes in, plays. If somebody gets hurt, nice backup. Also, nice little veteran leadership role there. So give me your thoughts on Eric Kendricks, everybody. If you like him, if it's a yes, definite no, maybe. It's somebody I think the Broncos could use and should think about. Because not only Greenlaw, you still have Alex Singleton coming off of a year-long injury as well. So Stranad is behind. They didn't draft any linebackers in the draft. Watch out for maybe Nick Kendricks coming over to the Broncos. The other linebacker out there, C.J. Mosley, I just don't know if he's a fit. He's also getting up there in age. He might want to be a starter somewhere. Eric Kendricks would probably come in and be a backup, and I think he'd be okay with that at this point in his career. The last one I'm going to bring up, guys, let me know if you like it. I feel we can also go maybe with a safety. And this is my out-of-the-box one. Why not bring Justin Simmons back to the Broncos? I think he fit with Vance Joseph. I don't think there was a problem with Peyton, with Simmons' ego and stuff like that. Why not bring him back? He loves Denver. My out-of-the-box, bring him back, Justin Simmons. I'll sign the petition to start it right now, and we'll get it started. Justin Simmons back to the Broncos. Let me know what you guys think. Justin Simmons, Eric Kendricks, anybody else you guys have in mind, and see, in the upcoming weeks. I don't think now's when the teams fill their needs, and some guys are out there. They're gonna take them. And there's Keith saying, Keith talking about players the Broncos can maybe still bring in for a piece there, to be on, fight for a spot on the roster, or give some of these veterans, something to worry about, or, just to have depth. I just mentioned linebacker because we talked on Denver Bronco Roundup, right, Keith? We talked about Greenlaw, and I was the one who said I am a tiny bit worried because he's hurt already. And, it's a minor injury, but he's hurt already. And you got another linebacker who was hurt all of last year as well. What happens if he starts to have these little injuries? You need another piece. You didn't address it in the draft. How about bringing over Eric Kendricks from Dallas, Keith? What do you think? Bring him in. I think he would be fine playing a backup role. Maybe he Fills in as a nice number three and a solid piece, a solid backup linebacker for the Broncos and a nice depth piece. And then I just brought up Justin Simmons, Ernie like that. I said, why not? My bold prediction, out of the box, bring Justin Simmons back. We all know he fit very well here in Denver. In my opinion, they just, they felt they wanted to go in a different direction. But he's a free agent. Why not bring in somebody who's familiar with the defense and have an added depth in the nickel and dime packages? And again, if one of the safeties, Hufanga, another one that was hurt last year, he goes down, you got somebody who's very familiar with Vance Joseph's defensive scheme in Justin Simmons. So let me know your thoughts, everybody, and we'll move on. Patrick saying Miller and Simmons. Yeah, definitely Von Miller would be something there. I don't think the Broncos are done, everybody. I just don't think they're done. Peter said earlier, trade for Kenneth Walker. I don't know if they're going to trade for Kenneth Walker, but I just don't think the Broncos are done. And I think there's a player, that they're going to bring in either free agency or through a trade. And I just feel like John Franklin Myers may not be a Bronco come week one. I just, something about me just, when you get that gut feeling, I don't think it's going to be next year. I think it's going to be week one. He may be on a new team. So there's Ernie reminding everybody, Keith's podcast in 47 hours. The countdown is on, Keith. The countdown is on. So I said I wasn't going to do it, but I guess since we have some time, I'm going to do it. We're going to talk about the Broncos draft, everybody. And please, if you want to change the subject, please do, because this may not go well, and I hope I don't lose everybody with this. But it's just my opinion, and my opinion, isn't the important one. Sean Payton's, George Payton, the scouts, those are the important ones. So mine is just a fan, a guy who covers the Broncos, his opinion. Keith's thrown out Julian Blackmon, Gus Edwards, Shaq Thompson. 3 other good ones there, Keith. Yes, I like them all. I would not mind any of them. Maybe not so Gus Edwards, because I don't want to break Jody's heart. If you bring in Gus Edwards, then how do you feel about Audric Estime? So I don't want to break our fellow horseman's heart there. So for his sake, I'll leave him out, Keith. But love the Julian Blackmon, Shaq Thompson. Love those two as well. I'll get Peters in here. It's a long one, so I'll read it off on the side. I watched Simmons play for Atlanta last year, and he looked like he'd fallen off a cliff. I wouldn't waste time with Simmons as much as I loved him as a Bronco. Vaughn, on the other hand, has a training camp piece would be great for our young pass rushers. Bring him in and cut him, but offer him a role on the staff to help the young pass rushers. I didn't know that about Simmons, Peter. I value your opinion on him. So you know what? We'll pass on Simmons, and we'll go with the guys Keith said, Julian Blackmon, Shaq Thompson. Maybe how about Poyer, too, from Buffalo. But, yeah, I'll value your opinion there, Peter, and because I haven't seen a lot of Atlanta. And the Vaughn thing, I like your thoughts there, but I don't know if they would, that'd be kind of crappy to bring them in during training camp and then just cut them. Again, don't be surprised if the Broncos, let me ask you all this. You got R.J. Harvey now, but he hasn't played it down yet in the NFL. Ceiling is high. Floor not so low. If Kenneth Walker becomes available, would you think about doing it for Jonah Ellis if it was a player-on-player trade? Let me know in the chat what you would do, yes or no. I'm seriously thinking about that if I'm bringing in like a Von Miller. And then, in the draft next year, you can get an edge rusher next year. Uh, you still got Benito and Cooper. Ellis, seems like a one technique guy. And I was big on Joe. I was big on Ellis last year, but he seems like he's got one move. So I might do that trade for Kenneth Walker. Maybe. I'd have to go back and watch more tape on Ellis, but I'm intrigued by it. So let me know if you what you think. Ellis for Walker, if it was a player versus player trade, would you do it? Uh, no problem, Pearl. Yeah. Report card coming from Keith, and Pearl likes it. So while I'm waiting, if you all want to answer that, feel free. But I will say report card. I'm going to be critical. I'm going to be fair. I will tell you there'll be no Fs and there'll be no A pluses. And before I do that, I'll just read Peter's comment. If you were to trade Ellis, you would have to know that Q Robinson was going to be able to fill the void Ellis would leave. That and then I have that is a good point, Peter. And also, like I said, I'd bring a Von Miller in. To that's how I bring Von Miller in. But I could for Bronco fans, I live in here in Maryland. I think that's where Von Miller's going to go to the Commanders. I do. Uh, they didn't address edge rusher in the draft. I don't think Trey Hendrickson's. I think he's going to cost too much. I think the Commanders will be Von Miller's new home. Uh, so first pick, first round. I've been throwing this out there. Maybe Emeka Ibuka was higher ranked, was the guy they were targeting at 20. And when Emeka Ibuka got taken, Loveland went early. Those two guys were their targets and left a hole. So what do they do? And what do a lot of good teams do? You go best player available. Jahdae Barron, in my opinion, was the best player available that they had on their board. And there's no doubt in my mind he was their best player available on the board. That's the pick I'm going to give A minus. I say A minus because I still liked Will Johnson a little better, even though that injury was there. But it shows Will Johnson did drop. It shows, again, my opinion doesn't matter when it comes to making picks for the Broncos. But I'm just throwing my thoughts out there. So it gets an A minus because of that. But again, somebody's going to become rich by trademarking this defense, the secondary, calling it the PlayStation 4, the PS4. Jahdae Barron's going to fill the slot. You got Riley Moss out there, and you got, of course, Patrick Surtain on the other side. So excited about this secondary. Good luck. Chiefs wide receivers, Raiders wide receivers. They wanted to draft these wide receivers in the draft. Good luck. Secondary, you all call it the no-fly zone. I'm calling it the PS4. Let's go, and that's just going to be a great weapon for Vance Joseph to have is a loaded secondary. Pearl saying John Franklin Myers wants more money, so he might be trade bait as well. It's a good point, and I think he could be trade bait. So. Again, I said Ellis, but maybe Franklin Myers for Kenneth Walker. If the Seahawks want to get rid of Walker that bad, I wouldn't want to get rid of Walker that bad. I don't know why they would. They had a good draft, and they can have a nice 1-2 punch with Charbonnet and Walker. But we're going to see. And I believe they drafted it. Did they draft a running back? I forgot, man. Doing 3 days of coverage, you forget some things, and I forgot if the Seahawks drafted a running back or not. But we're gonna move on to the second round. Keith saying maybe the white cornerback experiment is over with Barron. Yeah, it's a good one, Keith. I like that. No more vanilla ice over there on the. We're gonna have our rap group, but. We'll move on to second round. This is where it got interesting. The Broncos passed on Trevion Henderson, who a lot of people that follow us, uh, Trevor, one of the horsemen, that was his guy, his number one guy after Janty. I know Michael Anquillo always said Henderson was his guy. A lot of people liked Henderson over Hampton, but both of them were sitting there at 20 and they passed on them. So now you're in the second round, and early in the second round, there goes Henderson. Early in the first round, right after, not early, but right after the Broncos picked, the Chargers took Hampton. So Hampton's off the board, and Henderson goes early in the second round to the Patriots. So now tells me the Broncos had a couple guys graded in round two, R.J. Harvey being one of them. They went and got R.J. Harvey in the second round, and props to Keith Brugman. Go watch our short video that he posted highlight when we were doing our sleepers in this draft. Keith is the only one I know, and if somebody else did, you get grade A, grade plus for calling him out too. Keith gets an A plus for the R.J. Harvey mention and his analysis on him and his research on him. So excellent job there, Keith. I'm a little concerned. I'm giving R.J. Harvey a C with a huge ceiling to become an A. Low floor, C minus. High ceiling because if he could become a blocker in the NFL, a good blocker, he's going to get an A very quick from me because he's going to be a third three-down back and the back that the Broncos haven't had, and he'll be eventually an 1,000-yard rusher before you know it. C minus, he doesn't become a good blocker, and he's in on certain packages and certain downs on certain run plays. So ceiling very high for R.J. Harvey, floor very low, not too low, C minus. So A ceiling, C minus. Right now the grade's a C for me. Show me you can block in the NFL, your grade's going to go up, young man. That's it. Damian Martinez. Thank you, Keith. I knew thought they picked up a running back. Michael's got a question. Look, and guys, please bring out the questions. Love to answer the questions, and it puts me on the spot, and I love being put on the spot. Will the Broncos defense have the number one defense in the 2025 NFL season? It very well could be, Michael. If everything goes according to plan, when you look at them on paper, all pro at every level. Nick Bonito, Zach Allen in the middle, linebacker Dre Greenlaw, and of course PS2. 4 All-Pros at every level of the defense, on your edge, in the middle of the edge, middle of the line, middle of the field, and in the secondary. Add Jonathan Cooper, great piece to add to the line. Add Alex Singleton coming back, great piece to add alongside of Greenlaw. Riley Moss, and add Hufanga, and now your rookie Jahdae Barron. Michael, this defense could be number one in the 2025 season. I am going lower than fifth best at the worst. Anything lower than that is going to be unacceptable with the talent you have on defense, Vance Joseph. So floor for me, 5. Yes, you could be the number one defense. Great question, Michael. Great question. R.J. Harvey from Keith. Goal line production gives me faith in his blocking game. And I respect your opinion, Keith. You know that. So, like I said, that ceiling can go really high for me very quick on Mr. R.J. Harvey. So, definitely. I want to see it. I want to see it in the NFL, and I definitely value your opinion, and you were high on him, my friend. So, thank you. And Michael's saying inside linebacker is the weakest position for the Broncos. I agree, Michael. The injury Greenlaw it definitely raised a flag for me because I'm also worried about Singleton now. These guys are a little fragile. That's why I brought up Eric Henrik's name. Veteran guy, can definitely learn Vance Joseph's system and be nice depth. I know you got Stranad and Sanders there, but Stranad was okay. Sanders hasn't proved to me, and he wasn't a Peyton guy. Sanders has a lot to prove this year, and don't be surprised if they bring in a linebacker to try and shake things up there for Sanders and even Stranad to make this team. Uh, He'd say in the report card gets rough after this. Uh, and Ms. Pearl had quickly join and say hi all. Thank you, Pearl. Always great to see you. I don't have the website, Miss Pearl, but morgantrinkets.com, Southwest Jewelry and Pottery. If you want to put it in the chat, Miss Pearl, we'll definitely have people in your area try and come see your next show. There's the fourth horseman himself, Mr. Trevor Salzman. Better late than never, Trevor. That's what they say, right, my good friend? I'm joking, of course. Hey, Kenny, great to see you. Is there pressure on Sean Payton to use R.J. Harvey, being that he picked him in the second round? Yes. Yes, there is. I think there is pressure. I think he has to be the feature back. And I think to add to your question, I think Jaleel McLaughlin, and I said this months ago, I think Jaleel McLaughlin could be in trouble on making this team. R.J. Harvey, make him your feature back, your explosive guy. Estime right now, I'm still not sold Estime, and I'm saying this low. Jody, close your ears. I don't know if Estime's still the guy. I think there could be, a couple guys. Keith mentioned Gus Edwards. I mentioned Nick Chubb, incentive-friendly deal. Maybe J.K. Dobbins. Maybe a Jeff Wilson, another name. I'm not sold on Estime yet. So to have Harvey, Estime, Bidet, Watson, I think a veteran is on the way. I do. It makes too much sense to not bring in a veteran to be the leader of the running back room while these younger running backs get adapted to the NFL, in my opinion. But yeah, I do think there's pressure on him right now. R.J. Harvey, a lot of teams said a lot of people say they reached on him. When you reach on a player, pressure is on the coach who chose that player. So good luck, R.J. Harvey. We wish you the best. And again, the ceiling's high for him. My co-host on K&K, Mr. Carson Claus, checking in. Go check Carson Shear Show. Carson's fired up right now. His Lions just had a nice draft. And more importantly, his Pistons season stayed alive last night when they beat my New York Knicks and Kurt's New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden to get the series back to Detroit. So we'll see you tomorrow, Carson, and let's hope we could close you out. Michael say Carson's in the house, and Ernie's saying there's a lot of people that will be eating crow, 30% of Bronco fans also. So the pressure is on for the 31 NFL teams. So here comes the third round, and here's where the head scratchers start coming in. But pick is in, draft shows going on. Pat Bryant's name's mentioned. Who? And then I remembered who he was. The Illinois wide receiver in the third round. Why? This pick is a D in my head. And I go back and read up on him. Okay, he's a possession guy, can catch anything you throw in him. Velcro hands, one drop in college. That's a nice fit for Bo Nix. I like it. Accurate thrower, throwing to Velcro hands, going to equal move the chains. But slow combine time does concern me a little bit. I know it doesn't concern, other people. Does concern me. Xavier Restrepo, Slow combine time. Pro day wasn't that good. Didn't get drafted. He was projected by some mock drafts in the third round. I'm not a fan of the slow time. I saw him not produce very well against top teams in the Big Ten. Some concerns. Similar grade as RJ Harvey. I'm going to give it a C minus. I don't think the ceiling's very high for him. I'm going to go B. Solid B as a ceiling. I think this could be chat. At worst case scenario, hits the floor and doesn't get used like Troy Franklin didn't get used last year. And just becomes a D minus. And a bunch of young wide receivers in Franklin, Vele, and Bryant trying to beat each other out for time. I am concerned about this pick. I know a lot of people love this pick. Hands are there. And you know what? If you show Sean Payton you can catch the ball and move the chains, you will be a starter eventually. But I got to see him, the breakaway speed isn't there. Going to see if the route running, but I am a little concerned about this pick. And C minus, floor B, ceiling B, floor D minus. Yep, and this is a good point from Michael. Kurt actually sent this to me too, Michael, today. Jacksonville wanted R.J. Harvey and wide receiver Pat Bryant, but the Broncos got him. Interesting, that they wanted him. They did have they got Thomas, and you know what? I have to go back and look at their draft if they drafted the receiver, but they got Travis Hunter, and tells me they're trying to use him more on defense than offense if they wanted some wide receivers in this draft to go along with Thomas over there, who had an excellent rookie year. So yeah, I'm good to see what they do with Travis Hunter, but for them to want Pat Bryant, but for them to want R.J. Harvey tells me Travis Etienne is on the trade block. And if the Broncos didn't get R.J. Harvey, I would have been, yes, go get Travis Etienne. I don't think he was used right in Jacksonville, and I think he's got a lot of upside, but he's too similar to R.J. Harvey, so it's definitely a pass for the Broncos now with Travis Etienne, but tells me that they might want to move on from him. Keith saying Pat Bryant more likely to excel on the Broncos or another team. I'm worried about the players in front of him. Well, Keith, I said earlier, I don't know if you were on. I want to see Mims become. Peter actually mentioned this earlier. Peter Johnson. I want to see Mims become the number 2 wide receiver on this team. Clear number 2. Enough's enough now. You're a good kick returner, punt returner, but let's be realistic. These new special teams rules, I don't need to see him back there kicking, punt returning and kick returning and getting himself hurt. We saw him make some nice plays last year and had his coming out party. Let's make him our number 2 wide receiver. And that's where I say Pat Bryant's, my opinion, ceiling isn't that high because now it's Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, and Vele fighting for the number 3 wide receiver spot. I want Mims as the number 2 guy. Clear cut. Maybe one of these guys can become the kick returner, punt returner, and just have Mims in there as wide receiver. Enough with the special teams. You're going to get this guy hurt, and you need him. At the very least, you need him as your Deebo Samuel type of player. Great kick returner, punt returner, all pro, but I don't need that. I don't want that. Pat Bryant, Vele, Franklin, fight for the number 3 spot and see. So we're going to see because Franklin was they gave up a bunch of spots to move up for Franklin last year. So we're going to see who beats each other out there. But it's actually a good thing. Could be a good thing to have all this competition. So for young guys. So Let's hope it works in all their favors, and let's see what happens with Mims as well. Uh, how many years does Sutton remain a Bronco? As long as he's doing Sutton things and getting touchdowns, Keith, I got to keep him for a couple more years. So give him a 2 year contract with an option for a third, if well, everything goes well. So give me 2 more years of Sutton with a player, like a player option, team option for a third. That would be my take. What's everybody else's take on that? Trevor's asking, is there any positions that the Broncos didn't address in the draft that I'm concerned about? Great question. I should have definitely, Trevor, definitely. Uh, Defensive tackle comes to mind at top of my list. Uh, you added Q Robinson in the fourth round, and he's going to be more of a special teamer. You traded up for Savion Jones, who's going to fill in the Franklin Myers role. You got DJ Jones and Tillman, but we saw what this Broncos defense was against of course, Zach Allen. But we saw what happened with the Buffalo Bills. They ran down the Broncos' throats in the playoff game. Has me concerned that wear and tear on this defense. You don't have depth at that defensive tackle spot. That's one position I think that should have been addressed, and it didn't get addressed. That's on top of my list. I guess if I had a backup, the second one on the list would be tight end. Evan Ingram has a huge injury history. And I don't want to say huge injury history, but there's a good chance he's going to play 13, 14 games, and he misses a couple. Who's going to step in to be a tight end in those games? The basketball player that you reach for in the seventh round, that you hope you hit the jackpot, and Troutman, Lucas Crow, there we are, back to square one last year. Worst tight end room in the league. When Loveland went off the board, I knew that was their guy. Jets took Taylor. Arroyo was sitting there, Ferguson, but they chose not to trade up for. There were some guys later on that they could have maybe grabbed. I thought they would have addressed it earlier than the seventh round. So I think that may come to get them. Awesome point here, Keith. Don't forget, we brought in wide receiver Trent Sherfield, special teamer. Make him return punts. Make him return kicks. Give Mims every chance to be the clear number 2 wide receiver on this team, but maybe a future being the number 1. Make it happen. Sherfield, return punts. Absolutely. I'm on board 1,000,000% with that. Let's go. Make that happen. Let's get Mims to the up in the depth chart to number 2 wide receiver. Ernie's saying maybe left tackle wasn't addressed, and the offensive line wasn't addressed either, but it's funny. There's a guy out there. We mentioned it on an undrafted free agent, couple of linemen, Xavier Truss from Georgia, and a kid from Jacksonville State center. Broncos did something they usually don't do. He had some character issues in high school, did some things he shouldn't have done. Went to Georgia, didn't play at Georgia, but went to the University of Georgia, was on their offensive line, transferred to Jacksonville State, center. Watch out. It's not in the Broncos' nature to go after character guys, but they may see something in this guy that he makes the 53-man roster, and they look aside. The past is the past, and they give this guy a second chance. Keep an eye out for him. I don't have the name off the top of my head. It's the center from Jacksonville State, undrafted free agent, but keep an eye out for that name. And Xavier Truss, also offensive lineman that they brought in. He'd say an inside linebacker they should have gotten. Too many injury questions and short contracts. Another great position, and I agree, Keith. I would agree there. I would hope that they still think about bringing in one of these veterans that are unsigned right now. Either Kendricks, who I think would fit with Sean Payton and more importantly Vance Joseph's defense, and C.J. Mosley, who I think wouldn't fit as much. I think there'd be too much conflict. I should be starting, and Singleton shouldn't. But I don't think you would see that in Kendricks. I think Kendricks is a team player. Bring him in on a cheap vet contract, and let him be a backup linebacker on this team with some experience. Uh, yeah, we addressed. Did you address tight end, Bronco Nation, or did we address power forward for the Nuggets? I mean, 6'7". I mean, I wish this kid all the luck. I mean, but you know what? Knowing Sean Payton, he's got 2 or 3 plays for this kid lined up already. 10-yard line, third down, passing down, corner route, 6'7" tight end up against a 5'11" corner. Throw the jump ball like you throw in basketball. You call for it on the post in the corner, touchdown, Broncos. I could see Sean Payton drawing up 2 or 3 plays for this kid, and let's see what happens, especially in preseason. Let's see what happens in preseason when this kid does get some playing time. Going to be fun to keep an eye out for him to see what he does. Clay Webb, there it is. I couldn't think of his name. Yes, watch out for Clay Webb. Xavier Truss is the long shot to make the roster, but those are the 2 linemen I think that we should keep an eye on. But more so Clay Webb because of the center position. And Broncos doing something they usually don't do, and bringing in a guy with past character issues. So an interesting name to keep an eye out for everybody. And thank you, Graham's also saying undrafted Clay Webb. So we got a couple more. I'm up on the clock already, but I'll go a couple minutes overtime. I'll do the 2 fourth-rounders, Xavion Jones and Q Robinson. Broncos, what drove me crazy is we have these arguments. We have these debates of trade for draft capital. Kurt likes to trade up and have less capital. Well, what did the Broncos do? They got some draft capital. And then what do? They give it all back and move up for the defensive end. It's Xavion Jones. Good player. But again, I think it was a reach in an unnecessary position. I thought it was going to be maybe for a defensive tackle. There were a couple of good ones on the board when Xavion Jones got picked. Instead, they go Xavion Jones, probably play behind Franklin Myers, and maybe eventually, hopefully, if everything turns out well, take over. But the player I like, how you got him, I hate. You made all these moves, and then you gave up picks back to get him. I wish the Broncos would have kept a couple more picks, have a couple more options, maybe get a late, an inside linebacker like Keith said. Maybe we get a tight end other than the basketball player. But he moved up for Xavion Jones. It is what it is. The player I like, the player B, but how you got him, D, if that makes sense. So let's hope the player performs at a B grade. And not a D grade, because then it becomes an F. The floor is an F. The ceiling's right there. B plus for Xavion Jones for me, in my opinion. Thank you, Patrick. Once again, Patrick over there at Lion Coffee. Looking forward to K&K and DBR for the upcoming season. Yes, and we're gonna have a great mashup shows. The week that the Broncos and Giants play each other. We got some things. We're going to work on some things. We're going to make it special that week for everybody. So look forward to that week for sure with everybody. Thank you, Patrick. Again, thank you for your content tonight. Makes a long drive home much more bearable. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you to say. I really do enjoy hanging out with everybody here and met so many wonderful people along the way. Uh, you know, you know, uh, everybody that's here tonight, uh, and so many others. So thank you guys, and it means a lot that you the compliments. It really does. Uh, so and then Q Robinson, real quick, special teamer in the fourth round. He's an in betweener. I got my concerns about Q Robinson. When you say special teamer, he's what, 280? So he's not going to be a gunner. What is he going to do on special teams? So again, a position that wasn't needed. And unless you are trading Franklin Myers or Ellis before the season starts, this is my least favorite draft pick of the draft. And this one's the D as in the word dog, or and I'm not going to say D for Denver because it's a bad pick. We're going to say D for dog. Ceiling could be there if they trade Ellis, if they trade Myers. The ceiling could be there at a maybe a B minus. The floor is right there, D minus. I don't like this pick. Wasn't a fan. I thought it was way too early for this type of player, especially when there were other needs on the defensive tackle, inside linebacker. Obviously, the two that come to mind. Thank you, Miss Pearl. Miss Pearl's got to go. Good show tonight. Ernie, thank you. This is awesome. Michael's with me. Q gets an F grade from me. Let's hope it's not. Let's hope we're wrong, Michael. That's all I got to say on that one. And then the last two picks, I'm sorry. Yeah, the last two picks were. Am I forgetting one? Fifth, sixth. I'm forgetting somebody. Help me out, everybody. Am I forgetting somebody before I get to the punter? Gosh, my mind is, when you do this every day for hours, you forget. I got to type it in now. Then, who did I forget? Who did I forget? Oh no, they traded. Yeah, I didn't forget anybody. They traded back. Uh, they traded their sixth round to get two seventh rounds, and I'm not gonna get. I'm gonna be fair. I'm not gonna give picking a punter in the sixth, seventh round an A grade, but I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna give this pick a B because go watch. I'm not gonna say go watch. Go on FloridaGators.com, type in Jeremy Crawshaw, and it gives you every game on what he did. How many yards he averaged each punt, special accolades that game. Watch how many punts inside the 20 this kid's had. Watch how many punts he's had over a 46, 47 yard average, which in Denver, in the thin air, it could turn into 50 yards. Let's be realistic. And the angle punting, Australian style. I know Peter and Glenn are Australian friends. Love the punter. They say they learn at a young age over down there. He was the only one drafted. I'm going to give this pick a B. This definitely has a grade, a ceiling of an A. And I'm going to say, it could be a floor of an F if he fails at the NFL level. But right now, B, above average grade. No problem with the Broncos drafting a punter in the seventh round. I actually said they were going to do it in this draft because Matt Hack is not the answer. He's terrible hang time. He's not good at pinning inside the 20. Crawshaw and a mustache, and we're going to get T-shirts made. I'm gonna start getting some T-shirts. We got our punter. It's going to be Crawshaw with a mustache or something. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get some T-shirts made and support Crawshaw on these shows. And not too many fans would do that. So get out to Denver and you wear the Crawshaw. He'll recognize us. So I'm going to start that trend. We're going to get some Crawshaw T-shirts made and maybe give some out to some special people in our audience. Uh, Keats liking Q more. I watch opposite of you, my friend, but yeah, probably too early. Again, Keith, we hope you're right, and I'm saying we because Michael gave it an F, worse than me. So again, I know speaking for Michael, we hope we're wrong and you are correct. Uh, yeah, we'll get two of them made. Jeremy Creshaw and Caleb Lohner. Yeah, we could do that, Michael. We'll get two of them made. Uh, Keith likes the punter pick. Yeah, go watch this guy play. And then the seventh round, I have no problem with this, and I'll go B minus for basketball. Very low ceiling, could be a B plus. I'm not going to say F on a seventh round pick. Very low, very high floor, C minus. Worst case scenario, he becomes a practice squad player and nothing else. But this kid, they drafted this kid in the seventh round who's only had, I think, 5 catches in college. And it's because of his size. And you could be 100% certain. Again, preseason's going to be fun to watch and see what Sean Payton has drawn up for this kid inside the red zone. Corner backs that are 5'10", 5'11", even 6 foot. He's got a 7 to 10 inch difference on him. We all know what does in basketball. It does the same thing in football. Bo Nix throws a high pass. This kid's going to jump way higher than the 5'11" corner. Sean Payton. I look forward to seeing what you got lined up for Lohner. And I like to see him make this team over somebody that I loved last year and thought he was going to be, but Kroll is not the answer, and Troutman's not the answer. So Caleb Lohner, show me something, buddy. You're the one guy I'm rooting for the most out of this draft class, even over the punter. So I want to see you succeed, and let's go Broncos. Those are some draft grades. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. I'll throw a 2-minute warning out. I'll go 2 more minutes while I'm getting some thank yous and final thoughts in. If you want to ask one more question, I'll throw a 2-minute warning out there for everybody, and then we'll sign off until next week. But no, fun show. Draft is over. Schedule release comes out in a couple of weeks, and just a little teaser. Maybe we'll do a little. We'll go over some of the Broncos' opponents and where you would want to, see them. And, I know the Broncos and Giants are playing, so spoiler alert. Let's see where we want to see them play and what week. But again, thank you to everybody, my good friends, my co-hosts at Denver Bronco Roundup, Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Keith Brugman, our leader, Trevor Salzman, the Rocket Man. Jody was in there earlier. Ernie been with me from the beginning. Thank you, Ernie. Michael Marquillo, everybody's friend Michael Marquillo, except maybe Q Robinson. I don't know if Q's watching. Michael, he may not be our friend. So, again, we wish him the best of luck. He's a Bronco, so we want him to succeed. But, but thank you, Michael, as always, for hanging out with us. I said Miss Pearl. Peter was on earlier. Aloha again, Patrick. So glad we can help you on your ride home. Graham, backstage producer, K&K. He was hanging out with me tonight. Love it. Thank you, Graham. Couple more hellos. Carson was on here. Carson, cheer show. Go Knicks. We better hope we gotta beat them tomorrow. Peter, all the way from Australia. Roy Osborne. And a couple others at the beginning. I just don't want to miss anybody. I can't miss Kurt Valenti, the one and only. Early day, so he was in early in the comments, and then he had to go to bed. 5 a.m. comes early on the East Coast when you're doing a show, and it's 11:20. Good friend Mark Calderio and David and Eddie Murphy were on earlier too. But thank you, everybody. Keith has one question to wrap the show up. Player you pick that outperforms his draft spot. It's a good one. I'm not going to say punter. That'd be a cop-out. I'm not going to say... I'm not going to say Jahdae Barron. He was the number one pick. That leaves R.J. Harvey, Pat Bryant, and the two edge rushers, the two ends. Even though I'm not a big fan of the pick, I remember I said this. Okay, you know what I'm going to say? Savion Jones. I was not a fan of how he was drafted with moving up. I said the player I like, B, but how you got him, D. I hope he outperforms his draft spot and makes me forget about, oh, you gave up this, you could have had this guy and that guy, you moved all the way up for him and you reached for him. I'm not going Pat Bryant because I have I'm scared he may get into too much of a competition with Franklin and Vele. R.J. Harvey's Keats guy. I want him to outperform, but that Keats going to get all the credit for that one. Can't go Barron. I won't go punter. The tight end's fun. Q I'm not a fan of. It's got to be Savion Jones. I gave him a B grade. He's going to outperform and take over John Franklin Myers' spot for the next 5 years. Peter's saying Ernie, all 7. That's the best answer, Ernie. I think and Peter's going Pat Bryant easily. So we're on a different page there, Peter, and it's fun when you can respectfully disagree and have fun, debate and stuff. It's what makes shows fun, in my opinion. So that one, I hope I'm wrong. I can definitely see Pat Bryant outperforming. I can definitely see it. I'm just afraid with Vele, Franklin, Mims, it's too crowded there. I want Mims to succeed into the number 2 spot clearly, and I know you did too, Peter. 3, we moved up for Franklin last year. Vele came out of nowhere last year. Where does Pat Bryant fit in? That's the only thing I'm concerned about. Where does Pat Bryant fit in with the other 2 second-year receivers now? Michael's saying, the Chargers and Raiders got better too. The last thing I'll say before I sign off, Michael, I hope, remember I said about Omarion Hampton? If he gets drafted to the Raiders or Chargers or Chiefs, I hope I'm wrong. I've never been, more accurate on a statement there. 1,010% hope I'm wrong on Omarion Hampton because we have to see him, Bronco fans, twice a year. And then Ashton Janty's Ashton Janty, but Omarion Hampton, we don't need him to succeed in the NFL. Let's hope he's that bust that a lot of Bronco fans thought he would be. So, thank you, Keith. And check out my friends, my co-hosts, my brothers in the podcast world. Will be on Denver Bronco Roundup tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern Time for the Eastern Time, 7:30 Mountain. Peter, you got to help me. Australian time, not sure. And Patrick, if you're out there, I believe it's, 1:30, 3:30 or 1:30 Hawaiian time. But thank you, everybody, for a great show. Glad I can do this with you all. I love hanging out with you all, Bronco fans. And as I think I'm saying this correctly, go Broncos country only. Bo Nix for 6. Let's go, Broncos. Have a good night, everyone.